What's going on, Geminites? It's your boy Gem Mint here with the new comic book day reviews for Wednesday, November 20th. We're going to keep this thing spoiler free, so stay tuned. Alright, y'all, happy new comic book day. We're going to go spoiler free on the titles that I read and just give you my overall thoughts. First of all, I want to give a shout out to Valiant Comics for hitting us up with some of these issues. Actually, all of these issues so that we could do a review. And we'll start with Rye number 1. So Rye number 1, definitely enjoyed this issue. You have Rye and Raijin, which is his older brother, but it looks like a younger kid version, Rye version. So this is after the fall of New Japan, and you have them kind of wandering the desert areas. What happened is that Father, the AI that was running New Japan, was spread out over different, I forget if it's different Rise or different beings on the planet. If they all come together, they'll be able to reboot Father and kind of restart, his reign. So they're basically on the hunt to go after these individual entities to destroy them so that they do not reform Father. Very cool banter between Rai and Raijin. They kick some ass. They take some names. I definitely enjoyed this book. I look forward to continue to read it. This is actually Dan Abnett. So after I read this, I got to get better with looking at who's writing and who's drawing this stuff. When I read this, I was like, man, I really enjoyed this issue. And I look at it and I see Dan Abnett. I was like, oh, okay. Makes a lot of sense now. He's a great writer. Bloodshot number 3. This is being written by Tim Seeley. Bloodshot number 3 is really good issue, man. Where we left off last issue, Bloodshot's kind of a pile of goo. His nanites are not reforming the way they should. He's literally seeing his white blood cells flow out of him, and he gets attacked by this girl. Now, what's interesting is he kind of gets her in a choke slam hold, and he reads all of her memories, and it's actually a girl that he saved as Bloodshot in the past. So that was kind of a cool reconciliation kind of thing going on there. But I'm enjoying reading Bloodshot. It's a lot of action. The story, not much going on there, but I definitely am enjoying reading Bloodshot. Okay, Roku, number 1 and 2. So I know 2 came out today, so I caught up on 1 and 2. I love the character Roku. I think I first read her. She must have been introduced in like Ninjak in one of the deluxe editions that we read. She's a little bit OP. Her hair is like Medusa / a Carnage symbiote. She also can kind of use telekinesis to persuade people to do things like kill themselves or jump out of buildings. But Roku's definitely a fun read. I really enjoyed the artwork. It was violent as hell. Who's drawn Roku? Who's the writer here? Oh, Colin Bunn, who does a lot of symbiote stuff. So Roku was really interesting. She's basically a mercenary taking jobs, and she's getting this job, getting paid 3 times what her normal wage is, but she can't ask any questions. It's similar to Bloodshot. She runs into an old acquaintance who knew her before she was killed and resurrected with the Roku powers that she has. So fun, violent, great artwork. Loved Roku. Heart Attack number 1. This is a new image. This is a new title from Skybound. I was really interested in this because it's an independent title that's doing like kind of like a, not superhero book, but people with powers. It's kind of like mutants. They're calling them variants, which is odd, right? So it's kind of like a world where you have these variants that are being hunted down, a lot of freedom talk, freebies, and things like that. Interesting read. Who's it? Sean Kittleson. Heart Attack was a good read, though. Jumping over to DC, we have Metal Men issue 2. And as you can see from the front cover, and I alluded to it during my non-spoiler review of issue 1, there's a new Metal Man in town, and he's made out of Nth metal. So this was interesting. He seems to be alive, whereas the other metals are just robots who think they're alive. So Nth metal comes through, starts wrecking shit, and it makes for interesting scenarios. So kind of gets some consequences to the other Metal Men in this second out of 12 issues. And our main character here is trying to figure out what's going on with this Nth metal and how is it alive. He's dedicated his whole career to trying to make metal alive for some reason. And now that it is, he figures it must be alien and is trying to find out more about it. Scarab number 1. This is from the Year of the Villain, The Infected. This is a cool one-shot about Jaime Reyes, which is from this same city where I'm recording from right now, El Paso. They mentioned downtown El Paso in the book, which I thought was really cool. And it's kind of showing how he gets infected and turns bad. And it's pretty graphic, nightmarish, almost horror-esque. And it was a cool read that led into Batman Superman issue 4. This has a Year of the Villain title as well. And in this whole issue, basically, the Batman Who Laughs has put together the Secret Six, which are Justice League members who are infected with his poison or whatever. So, you know, obviously Blue Beetle's one of them. I think he even was one of them at the end of issue 3. And Batman and Superman are going up against some others who laugh. Good issue. He-Man and the Masters of the Multiverse. First of all, I'm a huge He-Man fan. He-Man is like one of the first cartoons I ever watched, one of the first action figures sets I ever collected as a kid. And as you can guess, they're doing multiverse stuff. And it's kind of like that same old trope where there's multiple universes and there's this character that's going to each of the universes and taking the power, making himself stronger and destroying those universes. So it's kind of that trope. But they have a cool twist on who our hero is going to be, who our protagonist is going to be in this run. This is a 6-issue miniseries. The artwork was good. If you're a fan of He-Man or if you have any nostalgic for it, it's definitely worth a pickup. So from DC Black Label, we have Batman, The White Knight presents Mr. Freeze. So not much Batman going on in this book. This book is about Mr. Freeze as a kid with his father and his partner, who were working on the freeze technology during World War II. And his father was part of the Nazi regime and his partner was a Jew. And Freeze, his father wasn't really a Nazi. He just was, they're both from Germany. He's a German and he wanted to just use the technology and try to do something good with it. So it's basically that whole story. A lot of Nazi stuff, World War II stuff. Kind of familiar with it. Like I mentioned a couple times, like my grandfather's a Holocaust survivor, so I kind of grew up, with this kind of stuff, and it was pretty interesting. Not really a Batman book, but a cool kind of Mr. Freeze backstory here. Oversized issue. I think it was like $6, $6. Batman 83. I believe this is the last City of Bane issue, and I feel like I'm missing something here, man. At the end of issue 82, and this is going to be spoilers from last week, but statute of limitations. At the end, Thomas Wayne shoots Bane and Batman, seemingly killing them or whatever. And then in this issue, it has like nothing to do with that. It almost seems like a whole other issue. It's basically Alfred narrating the entire story. And how many times are we going to see Alfred pouring his heart out? I'm so sick of that, man. I don't know if this was the last issue with Tom King or what, but the cover's cool. Breaking of the Bane. Nothing like that in the book though. I don't understand what I'm missing here. All right, last up we have Marvel. Super shout out to Marvel Comics for sending us a couple of issues to review. These two, along with the 2099 Alpha 1, which I have down below. Annihilation Scourge. I was super hyped for this. Marvel seemed to be hyping it up, and a lot of the previews that everything that Donny Cates has been doing with the Cosmic Run has been leading to this. And this was definitely a setup issue. Not much happened, but you get a lot of Negative Zone stuff and a lot of Annihilus and Blastar stuff. And I love Annihilus. He has regular human feet again. He doesn't have those bug feet. But Annihilus being Annihilus, and there's some kind of threat infecting Blastar's man and Annihilus man. It almost looks like they're being possessed or zombified. But they seem to be speaking in Null's language with the black word bubble. So I would assume Null has something to do with Annihilation Scourge because it's the Donny Cates stuff leading up to this event. Deadpool #1. Marvel, I really appreciate you sending me this book. I was going to buy it. It was on my pull list anyway. I had to cancel it because y'all sent it. I hated this book. This was a whack-ass book. Deadpool #1. I didn't like the writing. I hated the plot. And the art was terrible. I didn't know what was going on half the time. After I read this, I was like, man, who the hell wrote this? Who was Thompson? So I flipped through the front page and I'm like, oh, Kelly Thompson. I know Kelly Thompson just from Fee, who read her Rogue and Gambit run and her Mr. and Mrs. X run. And she is a huge Gambit and Rogue fan, and she hated that run. And what her complaints about that run were my same complaints on this book. It didn't feel like Deadpool. I've never seen Deadpool have this much dialogue. It didn't feel like Deadpool. The story of there's monsters and he's killing the monsters, now he's king of the monsters, was just whack, man. The only thing I enjoyed was Deadpool's interaction with, I forget who it was. Gwenpool showed up, but it wasn't with her. His interaction with, I don't know, some female. I don't even remember who it was, but man, yo, I will not be picking up Deadpool 2. This was whack. All right, King Thor number 3 by Jason Aaron. King Thor was dope, man. You know, we got Gore, the God Butcher. We have Thor as older. This is very far in the future. Thor is now the All-Father. His 3 daughters and him and Loki, they're pretty much the last god standing going against Gore. You get a lot of cool stuff here. We find out that not all the gods were butchered as it seemed during the God Bomb run. And you kind of get a cool story on how Thor kind of planted a little seed somewhere that helps something grow, that helps in this battle against Gore. Now, it ends kind of like it's not looking too good for Thor and company, but we got one more issue to finish off Jason Aaron's Thor run, and then we get a new ongoing with Donny Cates. Something else happened in King Thor I wanted to mention, but I can't remember. Immortal Hulk 27. Unpopular opinion, I am not feeling Immortal Hulk. I like the first couple arcs, but man, you had that issue 25 where, I don't know, universes were having sex. I don't know what's going on. We're back on Earth, and you basically have this Minotaur kind of CEO of Raxxon. Then you have Bruce. I don't even know who he's talking to. I don't even remember. I mean, not much is even going on here. I don't even know what's going on. Basically, Raxxon or whatever, the company, is creating Hulk monsters, and then Hulk's ends up hunting them down to kill them. I don't know, man. I'm not feeling it. The only thing good about these runs, to me, is the cover. Alex Ross covers. All right, Marauders number 2. Back into the Dawn of X stuff. Marauders number 1 was a super strong issue, and this issue was cool as well. I definitely like Kitty Pryde leading this kind of pirate ship, kind of hunting down people that are not doing what they're supposed to do with the Krakoa deliveries. We get some Hellfire Club stuff. We finally get that 3rd seat filled, and it was a cool issue. I mean, Kitty Pryde, Emma Frost, you have Sebastian Shaw, and it was pretty cool. I don't want to give any spoilers, so there's really not much I can say on this one. Excalibur 2. I really liked Excalibur 2. I thought issue 1 was kind of slow. This one was cool. You have kind of a crossover with Kitty Pryde and the Marauders, but you have Gambit and Rogue as kind of a Sleeping Beauty, kind of sedated in like this bed of roses or whatever, and they're trying to travel to this lighthouse. You have Captain Britain, who now is Betsy Braddock, and Apocalypse and Jubilee, and that's about it. So basically they're trying to find this lighthouse. They kind of get attacked on a boat. It seems like we have some other world kind of leakage onto this universe that only Betsy can see. And you get some cool interactions, man. Cool stuff between Jubilee and Apocalypse with her baby, and it's interesting stuff. So Excalibur 2 was good. Spider-Man 34. So we're into the 2099 story arc. You have Miguel O'Hara. I really like this issue. I haven't loved too much of this Spider-Man run, but I love me some Miguel O'Hara. I love the artwork in here. When it got back to Peter Parker, I wasn't really feeling it, and his whole back in college thing, his college partner seems like he's the one that messes up the future, or maybe it's Peter because of what happens in this issue. So it was a pretty cool issue. You just kind of get some aftermath from Doom issue number 2, which I can spoil now because it's old, where he gets seemingly assassinated. So that plays a role here, and it seems like that might play a role into what happens in the future as well. I enjoyed this issue though. Okay, 2099 Alpha number 1. I read this a couple nights ago, and I recall it being pretty slow. I don't really recall much what happened, except for that we get some Doom 2099 and who he has captured. Those scenes are insane, man. He's got somebody captured that's feeding him information, which is really, really cool. And you kind of just get a little bit of an idea of what's going on with this arc based on this run. But it really just kind of shows you that interaction, and Herbie, who you guys know who Herbie is from, he's looking for his mother or his mother's friends. So you kind of get a lead-in into this next issue, Fantastic Four number 1, 2099. So I assumed these were going to be ongoings when I saw the solicitations, and then I later found out that they're one-shots. So this was a one-shot that I wasn't really feeling at first. It really didn't have any Fantastic Four stuff. Well, it's the future, right? So the Fantastic Four we know are probably long gone. So you kind of get these other four, and this has a M. Night Shyamalan twist ending, which was kind of sick, man. So weird kind of one-shot. Didn't love it. Had a great ending, and it kind of all tied in together. But I don't see what the stakes are with this. I don't think this is going to have any stakes or affect that whole run, affect that whole story arc. Absolute Carnage, Captain Marvel. Surprise hit book, man. I would have never thought that I would say this, but this was one of my favorite reads this week. Great artwork, funny, kind of playful banter and storyline with the cat. I forget the name of the cat, but he's I forget the species too. You guys know the cat with the thing. And anyway. He's got the symbiote on him, as you can see in the cover, and it was a nice, fun, whatever tie-in. It was a breath of fresh air from the other Absolute Carnage tie-ins that were all about the same thing with the codexes and the spines. So that was pretty cool. And the last issue, this was my pick of the week, Absolute Carnage number 5. And it was hard to pick a pick of the week because I wasn't that excited about this week's books. But this was the best one. The artwork, your boy Ryan Stegman is killing it. This is not the last issue. I think we get the finale in the next issue of Venom, but this lets us know where it's going and is pretty good. We kind of get some idea of what's going on with Dylan. We kind of see where Donny Cates is going with the end of this and what's going to happen. What's the whole God is coming thing. So we do get some answers here, and I'm really looking forward to the next issue of Venom to see how it ends. All right, guys, so that's the reviews for today's new comic books. We do plan to go live this Friday with a nice panel of guests to talk spoilers on all the books that came out today. Let me know what was your favorite book of the week in the comments below. Let me know what book you hated and if you will not continue reading. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more daily content. Stay minty fresh. Peace.